Hello YouTube makeup lovers. So today I wanted to do a video on the basics of makeup, so that's why I'm calling it Makeup 101. This video was actually requested on Instagram by my good friend Nicole, and I thought it was a great idea for a video. Not only does she want me to mention the basics of makeup, but she also wanted me to explain the order that I like to apply my makeup, which is also very important. I don't know why I haven't done a video like this already on my channel, because I think it is a great idea. And even though I always give makeup tips when I'm doing a tutorial or just in all my videos, I think that this will be great just to dedicate a video to my most important makeup tips. So we better get started, because I have a few things that I want to mention to you guys, and I have already been writing them down. So the very first thing I'm going to start with is the tips, and then I'm going to tell you exactly the order that I apply my makeup, which is very, very important to me. The very first tip is very important, and I think it is essential, and it's very, very basic, and that is to match your foundation correctly to your skin tone. I like to match my foundation to my neck. I think that is the best way to do it. I remember in high school I would see some girls who would already use foundation, and they would have this like orange line on their neck because their foundation didn't match their bodies. So that is something that is a pet peeve of mine. I love to go to Sephora. You can try all the foundations. I match them, and once I find the perfect foundation, I'll buy it, and that's what I wear. So that is so important. And lately I've been using the Dior Star Foundation, and in this one I use the shade 20, and it matches my skin perfectly. It matches my neck, it looks natural, and I love it. So if your face is a little bit pale but you're nice and tan and your neck is tan, then maybe go a little shade darker than your normal skin tone, but always make sure that you match your neck and that you don't have two colors right here. If you're a beginner with makeup and you don't want to go right ahead into foundation, CC creams are great products. My favorite one is the It Cosmetics CC cream. This is something that I wear every single day when I don't want to really fuss with that much makeup. I just apply it with my hands. It's very easy. So CC cream is something that can kind of glide you into starting to use foundation. But I used to never use foundation, and now it's something that I love. The next tip is to pat your eyeshadow on your eyelid. Whenever I apply eyeshadow, and I personally like to apply it with a brush like this, a shader brush that is kind of flat. This one is from Sigma, and it's an E55. MAC also has one that is really good, and it's the 239 brush. Let me see if I have one here. This is what the MAC one looks like. Just a flat brush is great for applying your eyeshadow. So whenever I apply shadow, I always pat it on. I don't do this. I would do that, and then I would wonder why my eyeshadow would rub off. With patting it onto your skin, you're gonna have great color payoff. Another tip is to apply a primer to your lids before applying your eyeshadow. I think primer is very important, and I think that this is a tip that anybody can benefit from. The ones that I like the most are the Lorac Behind the Scene primer, and I also really like the Nars Smudge-proof eyelid primer. So that is something that is very important, and I think it's necessary for anybody who likes to wear eyeshadow. And if you want that eyeshadow not to crease and to last all day, you should definitely prime your lid. My next tip is something that I personally like to do in addition to priming my eyelids with the Lorac primer or with the Nars primer, is that I like to use a cream base under my powder eyeshadow, and I like to get cream bases that are pretty similar color to the powder eyeshadow. So I know that's hard to do because you pretty much have to match whatever eyeshadow you're gonna apply on the lid. For me, it's mainly the ones on the lid that I like to do that to, but I just think it's gonna make the color pop, and it's gonna make it so much nicer, and it's gonna last even longer. So if you have the regular primer, the cream shadow, and then the powder shadow on top, that color is gonna be intact. For example, today what I'm wearing is the Indianwood Paint pot, and then over that I patted on my half-baked eyeshadow from Urban Decay. So that is what I have on my lid, and I think that pretty much is going to make your color pop. The MAC paint pots are great for that. The Milani shadow eye pencils are really great for that as well. You can even use a soft eyeliner as a base, and I just think it just makes the color pop. Another thing you can do if you don't want to have to buy a gazillion different base colors is you can use a flesh tone base like painterly paint pot, and that will also work. It will also make the color pop. I just personally like to match my eyeshadow because it makes the color pop even more. Another very important tip, I think, for when doing your eyeshadow is to mix the finishes of your eyeshadow. That means that you should not just use all shimmer eyeshadows on your eyes. I love shimmery lids, but the only shimmery color that I have on my eyes today is the color that I applied on my lid. The other colors that I applied on my crease are matte colors. So you don't want to have all shimmery colors, and you definitely don't want to have glittery colors from your lid all the way up to your eyebrows, because you'll look like a disco ball. You have to mix the finishes. The only finish that I have ever done a full look on is with a matte finish. You can definitely pull a full matte finish eyeshadow look, but you cannot pull a shimmery look all over. I think you have to mix and match your finishes. My ideal eyeshadow look for my preference is a shimmery lid. I like to do a bright inner corner, but everything else is gonna be matte. And if anything, I'll put a little bit of highlight, a tad bit on the tip right here under my brow. I hate seeing those eyeshadow looks where someone has shimmery colors all the way up to their brow. Blending is also huge when doing your eyes. You need to blend, blend, blend. For me, the best product for blending is a MAC 217 brush. This is the very first blending brush that I ever fell in love with. I have continued to purchase it. I continue to love it. I've been using this for years. This is the best brush, and it's great for blending your crease. And when I say blend, you have to blend. You don't want your makeup to show exactly where one eyeshadow finishes and the new one begins. So if it takes you hours to blend, you just blend, 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 because it's gonna make your look feel so much different. It's gonna look so much better. It's gonna be so much more natural. So blending is very important when it comes to makeup. Huge tip is never neglect mascara. Always use mascara. Mascara is so important. It is what makes your look feel complete and final. Once you do an eye look, if you do a beautiful eye look but you do not apply mascara, it's not going to be complete. You need to apply mascara. I always say that if I have to pick two makeup products to ever use, one will be concealer and one will be mascara. Those are the two products that I cannot live without, and mascara is just so important. There was a time in my life when I would just put mascara on really quickly and I really wouldn't care, but now I really take my time because it just makes such a huge difference. Make sure that you coat your lashes fully. There are some times when I do my mascara in a rush and then I see that the base of my lashes are very light naturally, so they look very light, or you have some fallout of the shadow, it just doesn't look as good. So make sure that your lashes are nicely coated. And I personally, I only use black mascara. I don't mess with brown mascara. The darker they look to me, the better. Red lipstick. Red lipstick is very classic. It never goes out of style. If you love red lipstick, you can use it all year round. But when it comes to red lipstick, you really have to commit to the red lipstick. You need to reapply it, because there's nothing worse than when you have red lipstick on and when it kind of fades away already, you see the red lipstick in the lines of your lips, and then you kind of see a stain, but it's not really like a lipstick stain that is meant to be that way. You can tell that it's faded red lipstick. So you should always have that in your purse or in your pocket, and when that thing fades, you should reapply so that it still looks beautiful, because that faded red lipstick look, I just really do not like. It's not like when you wear a nude color. If your nude color fades away, it just looks like you have nothing on, and it's fine, you're just not wearing anything on your lips. But with red lipstick, you can tell, and it just doesn't look good. So that's something that whenever I apply a red lipstick color, or even just a dark color, I always take my little lipstick or lip gloss in my purse so that I can touch up throughout the night or throughout the day, whenever it is that you choose to wear it. Setting your makeup is another very important tip. I always like to set my foundation with a powder, a very finely milled powder, and I pat it on very lightly on my face, but I do set it with a powder. I love the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural Powder, and for a drugstore alternative, the Revlon Nearly Naked powder is also great. So I pretty much just grab my powder, I grab a brush like this, and then I also kind of like to pat it on my face. This you can also stroke on your face very lightly, and that sets your foundation really nicely. I also set my concealer, and I don't use these powders to set my concealer. To set the concealer, I prefer the Hourglass Diffused Light Powder. It is also a very finely milled powder, and whenever I apply my concealer, I always set it under the eyes with a powder like this. I used to love the Benefit Powder Flash, but they stopped making that. That was my all-time favorite setting powder for concealer. Another tip is to not overdo it when it comes to makeup. If I go crazy with my eyes and I do a very dark eye look and dramatic, I like to go light on the lips. If I go crazy on the lips and I do a bright red lip or a dark plum lip, I go very light and neutral on the eyes. So you don't want the two parts of your makeup to kind of fight with each other. You either want your eyes to stand out or you want your lips to stand out, but not both. There are some makeup looks that do look good when you have dark eyes and like a bright lip. It's something that I've done before. You know, usually I'll use neutral colors on the eyes and just go a little darker with a darker lip, but I usually try to pick one. If you do both in a very dramatic way, you have to be very careful with exactly what you choose, because you don't want it to look too crazy and you don't want to look like a clown that you have all this makeup on. So that's another very important tip. I recently did a video, a fall look, where I did do dark eyes and I did do a bright lip, but I did use neutral colors. So I'm going to link to that video down below so you check it out. But it's not something that I do very often, and it is something that I have to choose very carefully. Moisturize. Always moisturize. It's so important before applying your makeup. You need to be well moisturized so that your makeup doesn't get flaky and it doesn't stick to some parts of the face. And you can just always tell when someone doesn't moisturize with a makeup, it doesn't look as nice. So one thing I always do is I moisturize. I also like to moisturize my under eyes with eye cream before I apply my concealer. It's just the way to do it. It's gonna make sure that your makeup looks nice and fresh. It's gonna look healthy on your face. If you don't moisturize, you can tell your skin's gonna look flaky and your makeup is just not gonna look flawless. My next tip, and that is to invest in good quality brushes. And I mean good quality, I don't mean expensive. They have good quality brushes out there that aren't that expensive, but I would invest in them because it makes a huge difference with your makeup. If you have good brushes and you keep them nice and clean and you take care of them, they can last you forever. So if you're gonna invest in something with makeup, I think brushes is a good thing to invest in. Really good brands are the Sigma brand. They're not that expensive. They're less expensive than the MAC ones. MAC brushes are great. Real Technique brushes are brushes that are also good quality, and you can buy them at Ulta. They're very inexpensive. They're kind of considered a drugstore brand, but I personally love them. I think they're very good quality. The ones that I use the most are Sigma and MAC, because MAC are kind of pricey a little bit, but they're kind of in the middle. They're not like Chanel brushes or something like that they're like 50 bucks a brush. You know, MAC brushes, they're not cheap, but they're a little bit less than like Chanel or like a Dior brush. But the Sigma ones are a very good price. I buy a lot of those. You can get nice little sets where you can get maybe like 12 brushes for a decent amount of money. But that's a good tip, is to invest in good makeup brushes. It's gonna make a huge difference. It's also gonna make your makeup application much, much more easy. Another important tip is not to match your makeup too much to your clothes. I mean, yes, it's nice to have something that maybe matches. I have worn something like purple, and then I'll just do like purple eyeliner on my lower lash line. But if I'm wearing like a bright green dress, I'm not gonna wear a ton of green eyeshadow. So don't go crazy with the matching your makeup to your clothes. It's something that I personally don't like to do that much. I have done it in the past, and then I look at those pictures and I'm like, yeah, that did not look good. It's too matchy-matchy. But you can do a little hint of something if you wanna tie in an outfit to your makeup, but in a way, I just like to keep it separate. Neutral colors always look great. If I'm wearing black and I want to wear a bright green eye, that looks beautiful, but I just wouldn't match my makeup too much to my clothes, especially if I'm doing a bright color. So that's just another personal tip of mine. Now it is time for the second part of the video, which is the order that I like to apply my makeup. The very first thing and the most important thing is to moisturize your skin before applying makeup. This is a must. I do it every single day. Next, I always go with the eyes first. So I would apply my eyelid primer all over my eye area. Then I will do the cream shadow, which is my cream base. For example, like I mentioned earlier, Indianwood is my favorite. And over that, I would just start doing my eyes. So I would use all my eyeshadows on my lid, on my crease, everything. I would also do the lower lash line and apply my eyeliners. So I do apply eyeliner in the waterline, the lower lash line, and the top lash line, which is what I usually like to use is gel liner. A lot of people like to do their eyes last and they do their full face first. I personally like to do my eyes first because in case I have any eyeshadow fall out on my cheeks, I can always clean that up to make sure that my face is nice and clean for my foundation. You don't want to mix in those eyeshadows when you do your foundation. It's not right and it's not wrong either way. Everybody just has a different technique of doing their makeup, and I personally like to do my eyeshadow first, whether I do a light color or a dark color. That's the way I like to do it. I do hold off on doing my eyebrows and applying my mascara till later. I like to do those after I apply my foundation and all that stuff, because when you apply your foundation and concealer, you can get some product on your lashes. So that is why I like to wait. After the eyes are done, then I start with my foundation. I always like to prime my face, and then I go in with my liquid foundation. After the foundation, I do my concealer. Always do your concealer after your liquid foundation. That is very important, because with the foundation, if you use a brush, you're gonna buff in your foundation, so you can already move your concealer if you already applied it. So that's why I always apply the foundation before I apply my concealer if the foundation is liquid. If you use a powder foundation, then you definitely should do your concealer first. So that is very important. If you use a liquid foundation, you do foundation and then concealer. If you use a powder foundation, you do the concealer first and then apply your powder foundation. So that's another very important tip. So once the foundation and the concealer are done, like I mentioned earlier, I always set the concealer with my Hourglass Diffuse Light, and then I go ahead and I apply my face powder to set the foundation. After that, I go in with bronzer and I do the contouring as well. Then I do the blush, and last for the face, I'll apply the face highlight. And the steps continue. There's lots of steps when it comes to makeup, but after I do the highlight, then I go back to my eyes and I apply my mascara on my top and bottom lashes, and then I do my brows. That is why I like to do my brows after my foundation, because when you're blending in your foundation up here, you don't want to get your brows messed up or kind of spread the color that you applied to fill in your brows on your face. So that is why I have waited until now to do my brows. And then the last two steps are lipstick and lip gloss, and voila, your makeup is done. So that is pretty much it. I really hope that you found this video helpful and that you liked my makeup tips. These are the tips that I use all the time that I think are so important in achieving good makeup. So I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more videos like this, please comment down below and I will make sure to keep videos like this coming. And as always, I want to say thank you so much for watching Be Lounge Makeup. Bye!